turn off the sound on it. I said that goes for us. Okay, so we're in Perek Dalid, Chelek Dalid, Perek Dalid. If anybody has the Sefer with them, so we're continuing with the section, the fourth section of the Sefer, which goes through the Avodas Hayom, the way that we serve Hashem on a daily basis, and how those mitzvos that we have to do every day work to create this shlemus that we are all working towards, which he explained to us in the first chapter, first chelek of the Sefer, rather. So we saw the concept in general about aseis and los aseis. We saw the concept of limud haTorah extensively, and he discussed the whole idea of limud haTorah and what it does for a person and how it affects a person. And now we're moving on to Kriya Shema and Tefillah. Kriya Shema and Tefillah are all part of what we call, davening. However, he addresses Kriya Shema, which is what we're going to see today, sort of separately, because the avoda of Kriya Shema is something very specific in terms of Kabbalah's Ol Malchus Shamayim and Yichud of Hashem, and the rest of Tefillah has somewhat of a different focus or a different function, let's say. So today we're going to be learning more about Shema, and it's going to tie into a lot of things that we discussed in the first chapter. So let's the first chelek, I'm sorry, in the Sefer. Okay, so let's see. Perek Dalid b'Kriya Shema u'Tefillah, Sefer Derech Hashem, b'Siyata D'Shmaya. Aleph, shtei avodos hutalu aleinu lavud lefanav yisbarach b'yom b'yomo. There's two main things, two avodas that Hashem put on a person to do every single day, or daily avoda, that a person has to do this day in, day out. V'hem hakriya Shema v'Tefillah, saying Shema and davening. Uvizman Beis HaMikdash, and in the times of the Beis HaMikdash, there was also a daily avoda that had to be done. Hatamidim v'hamusafin, right? It was the tamid carbon that was brought every single day, and on the extra days like Rosh Chodesh and Shabbos and Yantif, special days, Chol Moed, there would be a carbon musaf also. So in the times of the Beis HaMikdash, they had this consistent, constant avoda that was happening in the form of the karbanos. Now we don't have that, so now we have Kriya Shema and Tefillah. What's interesting is that I don't know what the connection is between Kriya Shema and the karbanos. Tefillah is connected to karbanos, that's well known, but this idea that Kriya Shema has a connection to the karbanos, I'm not familiar. And I see even Rabbi Spinner in the notes at the bottom also says that it is not clear on what the connection is between Kriya Shema. It's not clear what the kesher is. Okay, so now we're going to discuss Shema. Now I'm going to explain each one. The first thing we're going to explain is the idea of Kriya Shema. So, declaring Hashem's yichud, declaring Hashem's oneness, Hashem's yichud, the Kabbalah's Ol Malchuso, and accepting upon ourselves the responsibility, the yoke of his avodah. That's what Shema is. These two ideas. On the one hand, it is a declaration, a recognition, an ingraining inside myself and Klal Yisrael about Hashem's yichud, which is what we're going to be focusing on tonight, and also that I am accepting upon myself to serve Hashem. The Indians. Now I was going to explain, at length what this whole idea of recognizing yichud is and how central that is to our avoda and how important that is to our avoda. And anybody who's learned with me, like I said, the first chelek of this sefer or sefer Das Tvunos or any of the svarim with me, so he's going to address all of these ideas and how Kriya Shema is central to all of them. The whole idea of shleimus and chisaron and yichud and all of these inyanim that are themes, motifs throughout the Sifrei Ramchal. Harishon, okay. Harishon, we say who in Kriya Shema, vinyano yichud yisbarach v'chalos v'malchus. Va'inyan. What is this all about? Ki habari yisbarach shmo himtzi b'rtzono nimtzayim shonim elyonim v'tachtonim ruchanim v'kashmiyim v'sidram v'starim shonim. So he's taking a major step back to give us perspective on what Kriya Shema and Yichud Hashem is all about. So he says, because when Hashem created the universe, when Hashem created the world, his ratzon was to create all sorts of entities, right? Many nimtzayim, right? Nimtzayim shonim, all sorts of whatever you want to call them, forces, rules of nature, and all of the ways that everything works, all the nimtzayim, ruchnim, megashmiim, everything, how it works, v'sidram b'sadarim shonim, and he set everything up to operate and run in the world. V'nasan b'chok kol echad mehem lifol pu'ulos v'lasos maisim lehisgalgil bilgulim v'visibuvim rabim u'v'drachim shonim, and Hashem empowers. No, that's maybe the wrong word, not empowers, but Hashem, puts the power into each one of these things, into these myriad, kemat, infinite, but not infinite, but there's, seemingly endless number of all of these things. Picture every single physical particle in the universe, and every single spiritual entity in the universe, and every single force in the universe, and it is spiritual or physical. All of these things, Hashem sets up and uses them to bring about how everything happens. To do things, la'asos maisim, to do things, lehisgalgil b'gligulim b'sibuvim rabim, to cause chains of events to take place, cause and effect, and all of these things. Each one based on Hashem, what he appropriated to each one from Hashem's incredible, infinite chachma, how each one was given its own tafkid to do, its own purpose over here in the universe. Let's not forget that Hashem himself is the root and the reason and the only root and reason for all of them. So yes, Hashem sets up and creates this gigantic system with millions and billions and trillions of pieces and parts, and they're all moving and they're all acting, and we can see cause and effect, right? We know how just simply gravity works, right? We hold something up here and we're holding it against gravity, and then we let go and it falls. So we see all of these things, the system that Hashem set up, but Hashem is inside of every single part and every single piece of it, and he is the reason and the root for all of it all the time. Now this is understandable, or this idea has two facets to it. One is the idea of the metzius, the existence of Hashem, and the other one is the pu'ula, the activity, the doing, what Hashem is, his shlita, how he rules over the world. So let's see what this means for us. Okay. When we're talking about the metzius of Hashem, the existence of Hashem. So mashikvar be'arnu b'chelik aleph eich kol hametzius hametziyuyos kulam tuliyum bo yisbarach v'nimshachim b'rtzono. So if we're talking about Hashem's existence, so we know already from the beginning of the Sefer that all other existence is completely and totally and only dependent upon Hashem, and all other existing things are only existing because of Hashem. Right, as opposed to Hashem's existence, like we spent time discussing this, Hashem's existence is completely and totally independent and completely not reliant on any other existence. However, all other metzius, everything else that exists, is only existing because Hashem it wants it to be existing, and Hashem keeps them going. Right? Again, that's that idea that Hashem doesn't just set the world in motion and let it roll. Hashem is constantly, consistently, proactively keeping the world running, keeping the world moving, making all of these things happen all the time with his ratzon. So that's the metzius of Hashem behind the scenes. And when we're talking about how Hashem rules over the world, how he acts with the world, so what does the yichud of the metzius over there mean? That even though that the Hashem put into all of these parts, right? All of these different things. And again, we're talking about, angels, and we're talking about protons, and we're talking about the laws of physics, and we're talking about the laws of Ruchni is all of these things, all of these aspects. Hashem puts into each one what it is here to do. Upolim puulos gedolos, kol echad kafi masha b'chok puuloso, and each one is capable of doing, great puulos, great acts, depending on how big the thing is and how much power Hashem gave over to it to do. They have no power and no ruling ability of their own whatsoever. Each one of these things, again, even though to us it looks so obvious, when I drop something and gravity makes it fall. And yes, it would be true to say Hashem created gravity, which is what's making this thing fall. That's not true. However, it's also true to say that Hashem is making and creating and causing gravity to do its thing every single moment of every single day. And it's only doing that because Hashem is there making it happen while gravity is pulling down this thing, right? Gravity has no ability to do that except for what Hashem gives it, and He is the true Kol Yachol. He is the true Shalit, the true leader, the ruler over everything. Again, he keeps on stressing to add in the present term, makaimam, he keeps them going now. Nasan, he gave them vinosein, and every moment he is giving them the ability to do what they are doing. V'hu adon aleim lahosif v'ligroa kirtzono b'chol esu b'chol sha'ah. But again, there's no entity that has any ability outside chas v'shalom of Hashem, and no entity, physical or spiritual, can do anything other than what Hashem has given them to do. They can't go against Hashem, and Hashem can strengthen them or weaken them, increase them or lessen them in any second, at any time, and they are all completely under Hashem's control. Okay, now we have to understand this is like really, he's giving us a synopsis of a very big section here of Das Tvunos in a very small, compact place. And the real depth of the understanding of this is right? Hashem set up all of these systems, all of these structures, all these entities and rules and all of these things. It's all set up for us, right? It's all set up, all here to be the place for us to do the tikkun, and everything that they are doing is really tikkunim for us, right? So that's, we end up with ra. We end up with bad stuff, things that we call ra, things that we experience as bad, things that we call, that are painful and difficult for us, as a result of, again, if it would just be Hashem, it would just be us and Hashem, and everything would be wonderful, and one day it'll be that way, Hashem, right? But in the meantime, there's this huge separation with all of these entities and Sidarim and Kochos and all of these things that are the universe that we are in. That's like, the separation between us and Hashem. And now, where we are stuck within this whole system of structures, we experience Ra, right? Where instead of just being right there with Hashem and in all such, Tov and Yichud and oneness, no. So we're separated, and Inyanim Rabim Shal Ra Shem is Galgalim V'Sovim B'Olam, and this opens the door. That's not opens the door. This is what causes, or this brings about the fact that there's Ra that we experience. Right? One aspect of Ra is things that we bring upon ourselves because we do Averas and bring ourselves deeper and deeper, and then we need to deal with more and more Ra in order to get back to where we even were to begin with, right? To do our mission. Right? Or Hashem has certain zeros that he has and puts on people to put them through what they need to go through. And that's also, that brings about Ra that a person experiences, right? A person hurts themselves. Right? This is the big question of how can Hashem do cruel things, right? All Ra that we would see would be the opposite of Hashem, right? Hashem is all good. Right? We know Hashem only wants to do good. His whole desire is only to bestow good and do good. And right, Hashem's name is profaned. It's like a chilul Hashem when Ra happens in the world, right? When people see Rishayim, wicked people prospering, when people see Klal Yisrael, being punished and downtrodden over here in the world. So it's mamish like a chilul Hashem, because, and that again, this is like we've said many, many times in many classes, right? The main reason that people go off the derech for one reason or another is a form of tzaddik v'ralo. It's a form of being upset at Hashem, having a taina on Hashem that it's not fair and it's not nice, and I don't want to have to do with this, right? It's a chilul Hashem when all the Ra happens, because we all know that what we expect from Hashem, good and to do good, and when he's forced to do bad, it's again, it's for our benefit that these things have to happen, but it's like the opposite of what he would want. However, a person who knows the ways of Hashem and has spent many hours on Rabbi Rosenstein's YouTube shiurim on Das Tfunos and is maimik in these things, right? A person who's maimik in the Indian of Yichud. Yeda, they know ki al kol panim ein kol zeh elasibov misibos bederech amok, right? No matter what's happening, whatever the Ra is, whatever the bad thing is that a person is experiencing, if they missed a very important phone call and they stubbed their toe, or they got sick, chas v'shalom, or whatever it is, Yeda ki al kol panim ein kol zeh ela sibov misibos derech amok. I know Hashem is doing something over here. Hashem is making this Ra happen for a purpose, for a reason. It's leading somewhere. So there's a deep cheshbon behind all this. Kulam miskavnim lenakudas hashlamas abriya uva mistaimim, and all things are moving to the center point of the shlemus of the entire universe, of all of us. Everything that's happening all the time is all part of this. We're constantly getting closer and closer and closer to that point of Shlemus, right? We're all just going through what we have to go through to get there. But that means that the Ra that we experience, right, is just a way to get me there. It's part of them. Kulam miskavdim lenakudas hashlamas abriya uva mistaimim. They all end at the same place, which is at the Shlemus of the universe, the Shlemus of the whole Bria. Ukamoshe ksavnu b'chelik aleph. Again, all of this is, we've discussed at great length, that the person is put through all of these difficulties in order to be mashlim himself, in order to be mashlim the world, in order to get to a place of shleimus. But that requires us to go through the Ra. But that means that the Ra is here for us to help us along the way. Hashem is running everything with complete emes, complete truth and fairness. And it's only Hashem's, quoting from the pasuk, Hashem, what he wants to happen, that's what's going to happen. And what is going to happen? That ultimately it's all going to be good. It's all going to be shalom. Everything is moving in that direction, like we've discussed. So, however, because in order to bring that about, things have to happen over here. We have to go through things one after another, based again on Hashem's incredible chachma nifla, hatov hamiti, and on the true good that Hashem has in store for us. V'yivada besof kol hagilgulim, but we're going to find out after everything, after all of the events and everything that happens in our life, that it was all Hashem all along, Hashem alone, himself and just himself. And it was Hashem all along who was making all of these things happen in order to bring the shleimus to its perfection. And as we know, that is the only real, true good. Right, so he's explaining to us in a very brief nutshell, right, why a person has got to go through stuff in life, right? Why there are difficulties in life, things that we call Ra, things that we see not kefi chok shlemuso, things that don't seem to be in line with Hashem's greatness and goodness and love for us, right? All of the ra. So he's explaining this is all part of the obstacle course that we are put on over here and that we have to go through. And it looks to us like it's disconnected. It looks to us like it's coming from places that are quote unquote not Hashem. It looks to us like there are other powers that are interceding and making things difficult for me, right? But that's not what it is, and that's what it's going to explain now. Now, what's further embedded into this idea and the depth of this whole idea is the revelation of Hashem's yichud. What does that mean? Right? We discussed this already, that the whole point of the Ra to begin with is only for people to wipe it away, for people to clean it away, for people to be mashlim themselves, to be mashlim the Bria, and get rid of the Ra, and to be the ones ourselves who have created that tov inside ourselves and inside of the universe. Right, like we saw before, that the whole way in which a person stays away from the Ra, all of the rules. I just lost my place. Pratim Rabbi Yomatu be'inyan mitziusa shel Rabbi Bria pu'ulosa v'shlitaso upratim Rabim kmokim be'inyan yachoso shel Adam imo b'mashu noson tachtav umusam besocho uve'inyan is gabro alav v'hispachcho mimasarav u'chavosho. So right, all of the parts of the game are here. All of the components are here. The Ra is here in the world. The Ra is there, and we are nichshal in it. We are stuck in it. We are embedded in it, and it's an integral part of our lives, of the existence, that we have to be here to get rid of this Ra. But the way to get rid of it is also here for us. It's also put everything over here, all the ways to get rid of the Ra, all the ways to be mashlim ourselves, and all the ways to get out of this jail, of this prison. The Inyan Metzius Atov is Pashtuso Vizchasko Kovia Kana Ra Vikovsho, and all of the ideas of Tov that are in the world also. So again, he's explaining to us this the world, yes, it's taka, a broken place. A person looks around and see the world is not the way that it's not the way that it's supposed to be, but we recognize that it's up to us to get out of that. It's up to us to create that shlemus, to make it into a place of tov, to make it into a place where we get rid of the ra. And all of those means are also embedded within us, within the world with us over there, all of the ways in which we have to get out of the ra and be mashlim ourselves. Shoresh kol metzius hara pulosa v'shlitaso hu halim habori yisbarach es yichuda. So what this means is, like, going right back to the beginning where we started, right? If a person is just me and Hashem, so then I'm in a state of total shleimus, of total perfection, of total tov, of all good. The only ra, the only lack of good that I can experience is only when I'm separated from Hashem, or we would put it in other terms, when Hashem is hiding himself from me partially. And he can't be hiding himself from me completely, because then I wouldn't be here. Obviously, I'm getting life from Hashem, but I'm getting it in a hidden way. I don't see it. Hashem is hiding his face from me, right? And the ra comes in as a result of the Helim Haborius Baruch Shichuda. Hashem is hiding his yichud from us. He's right. We don't see the oneness when bad things happen. It seems to us like there's something else going on over here. It's hiding Hashem's yichud. It's not revealed to everybody his incredible power of yichud. And to the degree that there is a helem of yichud, to the degree that there is hester panim, that to the degree that there is a lack of recognition of yichud of Hashem, right? That's where the metzius of Ra happens. Koach metzius shel Ra, again, all of this is going back to the basics that we learned in the very beginning about how the world and universe works. That Hashem's all good, and when we have experience of that, that's called ha'aras panim, right? That's called yichud. When it makes sense, everything lines up. And when things don't line up, that's called Hester Panim. And now we don't see the Yichud, right? We believe in the Yichud, we believe that the Ra that's going on is also Hashem, but it's not evident. Okay. V'shorish kol bittul harav havaraso v'kava kol habriya batov hu gilu emitas yichud yisbarach. And the root of getting rid of all Ra in the world, and the root to establish Tov in the world, is through the recognition of the Yichud of Hashem, right? All of the challenges that we experience, all of the Ra, all of the difficulties are challenging our notion of Yichud. It's getting us to consider, contemplate, to think maybe there is some other force out there. Maybe maybe Hashem is not the one who's completely in control, chas v'shalom, because I know Hashem is good. So how can He make this happen, right? Chas v'shalom, right? So the declaration of Yichud, the recognition of Yichud, is what wipes away all the Ra. When a person, even though we're experiencing something as Ra, but if a person says, I know this is Hashem, and I know this is coming from Hashem, and I'm makabel it, and I receive it, so now the person is still in pain, right? But he is being mevatel that Ra, right? And then the time will come when that yichud will be not just in my mind, not just in my emunah, but it'll be actually revealed, the revelation of that yichud, and then that will be the literal destruction of all Ra. This is in Parshas Hazidu, again, the same psukim that the Ramchal quotes in the Sefer Das Tfunos, and addressing this idea that it's all Hashem, it's all coming from Hashem. There's no other power, no other koach. Leman tedu v'saminu, you have to know and believe. Lefanai lo notzar keil v'acharei lo yiyeh. There is no other power, there is no other force. V'nimtza shesof tikun kol abriya talui b'gilui yisbarach gilui yichud yisbarach. So this concept, this idea of Yichud Hashem, the hiding of the Yichud Hashem, and my job to work to reveal the Yichud of Hashem, this is the central theme to my existence and to Avodas Hashem, and recognizing who Hashem is over here in the world. Okay, so just to take a pause for a second, and see, taking a step back from Kriya Shema and taking a broad picture of everything that we're doing over here. We are put into the world. The world has should have been a shalom place for with one small aspect for Adam to be misaking. Since then, it didn't happen, and things have gotten worse and worse. And now we find ourselves in a world that has Ra deeply embedded into it, and a deep part of our experience is that Ra. However, we know that it's here for us to work through it and to work on it, and that Ra is only experienced because there is a lack of Yichud, and my job is to recognize that Yichud, even though I'm experiencing what would seem to be a lack of Yichud. And one day, in Meretz Hashem, we will get to that place, and one day we will get to that place of oneness where the Ra will be taken away in reality. Okay, so now is moving on. V'hine, hu haya hove v'yeh tamid echad yachid umiyuchad, ela she'achshav eina megula l'kol karoi. Right? Hashem, we know, is, was, always will be, is one and unique and singular. It's all of these things. However, we know that this is not revealed right now. This is something that we believe and we state, but it's not revealed. However, it's going to be revealed, and it's going to be revealed to everybody. Right? Hashem, and the way He's understood, and Hashem Himself will be one, meaning not like now where people might say there's such a thing as a Hashem, but the way that He operates with us, although that's not the same. That's like Hashem and His name are not one, and we say no. It's going to be a yichud, a oneness, that it's going to be recognized that Hashem and everything Hashem does is all coming from the same source. It's all coming from the source of Tov. Yeah. Amnam Yisrael shezachu l'soraso ha'amitis. However, we Klal Yisrael, who are zochet to the Torah, and we have this tremendous insight. Yodim ha'emes hazeh. We know that this is not really the revelation of Hashem now. We know that, of course, Hashem is doing everything, and Hashem is doing, right, like we said at the beginning. However, we recognize that yes, this is not the way the world is supposed to be. The world is supposed to be made perfect through our deeds, through our actions, and we're working on that. However, in the meantime, we recognize that the world is showing us something that challenges our concept of yichud. It challenges our notion of Hashem being the only one. But no, but we know this. Yodim ha'emes hazeh u'me'idim alav gam ata, and we testify to this. We state this every single day. V'hu ma shekazav atem edai ne'um Hashem. Hashem says, you, Klal Yisrael, you are my Eidim, you are the ones who are going to go through the world and declare my Yichud no matter what comes your way, right? No matter how many thousands of years of Galus you go through, and no matter what Saros I cause on you or you cause on yourselves, no matter what type of shame you go through at the hands of the other nations, Klal Yisrael is always going to declare Hashem's Yichud. V'atem edai nu'um Hashem. V'zeh schus gadol lanu. It's a huge schus that Hashem, again, created this whole universe and this whole structure, and he made it such a confusing place, and a place where a person can so easily not see Hashem and so easily be deceived and led off. And he gave us the antidote. He gave us, Klal Yisrael, he gave us the key. He gave us the secret to tell us, no, I'm here all along. I'm here all the time. I know it doesn't look good. I know it looks like there's other powers, but I'm telling you, Klal Yisrael, I want you to go out there and proclaim to the nations by clinging to the Torah in the year 2021, and we're still doing mitzvahs and we're still, keeping the Torah. That itself is a declaration of Hashem's yichud. No matter what we've been through, no matter what everything has happened to us, we're still declaring this. Oh, hine. Klal ha'hanhaga shel ha'olam hazeh mischalekes la'hanhagas hayom v'hanhagas halayla. We know that there's two types of hanhaga in the world, right? There's two types of ways in which Hashem deals with us. There's the hanhaga of yom, the concept of daylight, which is clarity and ha'aras panim, and then the concept of laila, which is like the metaphor of the sun being hidden from us is like the metaphor of Hashem's face being hidden from us, and that means that we're experiencing darkness. Gimel Perek Aleph. Ubechol boker ubechol erev mischadeshim hasadarim umishmeros hamalachim l'safkidam l'safkidasam kefi seder hanhaga. And every day goes through this cycle of day and night. Hanhagas hayom, hanhagas halayla, hanhagas hayom, hanhagas halayla, and all of the structures and the malachim and everything that's set up to run everything. This happens on a daily basis, day and night, day and night. V'ulam nischayavnu anachnu b'nei Yisrael, and now we're getting to Shema. Therefore, we, Klal Yisrael, are required laha'id alamitas yichudo yisbarach b'chol habechinos. We are required to declare and to testify on Hashem's yichud, to be those edim that Hashem wanted, to testify on Hashem's oneness every morning and every night. Perish bein bebechinas hametzius shu levado hamatzui hamukhrach v'chol hamtzam yimenu hem nimtzayim ubot one, that we're declaring the yichud of the mitzius of Hashem, that we said in the beginning, that Hashem is the only true mitzius, and everything else that exists only exists because Hashem is wanting them and actively willing them to exist, and nothing would exist if Hashem wouldn't do that. Everything is dependent on Him. And bein bechinas hashlita, and when it comes to Hashem's shlita, His ruling, His functioning in rulership over the world, that everything that happens in the universe is only happening from Hashem. There's no one else, no thing else, no other power other than what Hashem puts into everything for it to do. And when it comes to how Hashem runs the world, the Hanagas Hayom, the Hainu Sha'af al Pisha Masibos Rabos Gdolos Vamukos, Ein Masabev Ela Echad. Again, even though we seem to see so many causes and effects and such a long cascade of events of one thing leading to another, and that's what brings things about, but it's all Hashem. It's all one idea behind behind everything. There's only one main cause, and there's only one main effect that we're working on. The Hainu Hu Yisbarach Shemo, Hashem is the only cause. Hamasabe v'sakol el tachlis hashleimus amiti, and the ultimate effect is going to be the shleimus, the true shleimus. Everything that's happening along the way is part of that cause and effect, which is all Hashem. And even though this is not something that is now revealed, even though this is not something that we all see and experience now. However, we know the truth, and we know that the emes is that this is what's going on, even though it's not revealed. That's what we call emuna, right? To see through the reality, to see through what we look like, what looks to us like Ra, and to see Hashem. And ultimately, that will be revealed and exposed in the end to everybody, this idea of the yichud of Hashem. Okay, so he's setting us up for Shema. Should we do this also now? Yeah, well, we'll also see Bays. Maybe we'll start it now at least. But he's setting us up for an understanding of why Shema is so central and so important. And obviously, we could start to understand that, right? We're testifying this idea: Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Right? Hashem is only one. There's only one God. He's going to explain to us how this lines up in terms of all of these different aspects, the terms of the Metzius, in terms of the Shlita, in terms of the Hanhaga. He's going to explain to us how each one of those are relevant to this, that each one of them has the idea of Shema behind it to testify on a daily basis that this is how we see the world. However, there's another part to it also, Beis. Okay? What a person needs to understand further, Hashem is the king on all of his creations. What does that mean? Like we said before, Hashem's mitzius is completely self-sufficient. It doesn't depend or rely on anything. Because God is Okay, I'm not going to explain all the words. It's basically saying the same idea that we've seen, that Hashem is completely independent. There's no cause that causes Hashem, chas v'shalom, and no effect that doesn't come from Hashem. So that's why we call him a God. Right, a deity. Okay. Hashem wanted for there to be these creations. Okay, so there's one aspect of Hashem where we call him like the God, Eloka Baruch Hu. So that's the concept of Hashem being the Metzius, the root Metzius that all other Metzius comes from, that no other existence exists except for Hashem's existence. That's Eloka. But we also call Hashem an Adon, right? We refer to Hashem, we even say that word, Ado, and then right, Noi, that's an Adon. So what does that mean? Right? So it's not just that he is the power behind everything, but like that was like the Metzius, but he's Sholate also, right? In the idea of a Sholate, of an Adon, of a master, that's the concept that Hashem is the complete and total master of the universe. He controls every aspect of the universe and it rules over them as he wants. Right? However, in addition to all of this, in addition to everything that Hashem set up for us and all of the structures and all of the causes and effects and this whole incredible system, Hashem says, I want to have a relationship with my Nivraim. I want to have a connection with them directly. Even though really we can't. Right? There's no way for us to have a relationship, to have a connection. So he wanted to be like a king for us, right? To be our king gives us an opportunity to have a kesher with him. That we should consider Hashem to be our leader, well, I guess manhig means a leader, really, right? And Hashem chose Klal Yisrael to be his nation, to be seen as our head, right? We are known as God's people in the world, where Hashem is, our father, our melech, and he has us as his subjects, and he wants to have himself be honored through us. right? Kaviyachol bam kemelech shemiskabed ba'amo v'kiddush nemar berov om hadras melech, right? In the great numbers of the multitude of the people of the Jews, so the king is glorified. So in this aspect of Hashem, that he's the master of the universe, he didn't want to just be the master of the universe in the background. He wanted to be the master and have a nation, have a people that would recognize him as such, and that he could be for them a leader, and they to him, so to speak, his nation. And they obviously benefit tremendously from this because they're close to the king. They have this direct relationship to the king. They can ask the king for stuff. They don't need to go through any intermediaries. Right? They have a tremendous benefit from having this relationship. And again, Hashem kaviyachol, as if Hashem kaviyachol benefits from this also, right? Because Hashem is honored now. Hopefully, if we do our job right, he's honored through our actions. And that's how we refer to Hashem, as the Melech, as the king of the world, right? You can have somebody who's an Adon, who's not a Melech. He could just be running everything behind the scenes and be the master, the puppeteer who's pulling all the strings and making everything happen, but he's not recognized as the king. The concept of the Melech is the recognized ruler, the recognized entity. And in this respect, we call Hashem the Melech. That's where when we refer to Hashem as a Melech, we're referring to Hashem in the aspect of Hashem where he is our leader, and he receives honor through us. And we therefore also we're his servants, we're his people, we've got to do his work and do everything that he instructs us, just like a king does to his people. Okay. Okay, so he's telling us now the second aspect of Shema. The first aspect of Shema, he explained, and again, well, next week we'll get into how Shema actually articulates these ideas. But idea number one is, first, it doesn't really relate to me at all, the first idea, right? The first idea is really just all about Hashem, how Hashem's Metzius is only one, and nobody else. No, he doesn't need anything else or anyone else. Hashem's dominion over the universe is only one, and Hashem runs the world. Hashem's Hanhaga is the only Hanhaga that's running the world, right? But that doesn't really have to do with me. When I refer to Hashem as a Melech, when I refer to Hashem as my king, my ruler, so now that falls on me. Now it's on my shoulders to do the things that a person does for a king, and that means to show respect and honor, and to conduct myself in such a way that the king is respected and honored through me. And that also means that what the king tells me to do, I have to do. I'm on the king's team. I'm part of his army, part of his people. I have to do what he says, and lishtabe love. I have to commit myself to him. Uligzerosov, and to the things that he says to do and what happens to us, and accept it all, that we know it's from Hashem. That's this concept of accepting upon ourselves the yoke of heavenly responsibility, is accepting yichud, right? Not just recognizing yichud, but recognizing that I accept that yichud on my life and everything that means for me, everything that means for the way I have to live my life and how I have to show myself and see Hashem in the world, right? Is all through the lens of accepting that Hashem is running everything and that I am here as his servant. And this is also included in this concept of Shema Yisrael, as we'll see. This it's an admission, an acceptance of this idea that Hashem is the King of Kings. Okay, so we're seeing it developing. It's going to relate it shortly next week, specifically to Shema and how it works out. But we're seeing that the idea, first of all, of Yichud is central to the Torah and central to our Avodah, as we've discussed many times. And Yichud is declared in Shema, as well as now, like the practical application of Yichud, which is Kabbalas Ol Malchus Shemayim. That's the practical step of Yichud, of saying, now I recognize that and I'm going to live my life for the king. And that's going to be a part of Shema also, which we'll see. Okay, have a great Shabbos, everybody. Good to see you. And like I said, I'm not sure about next week. I'll let you know once I know how I'm feeling after the shot. Okay, good Shabbos,
Thank
everyone.
you, Rabbi. Have a great Shabbos.
Thank you so much. Have a good Shabbos.